Okay, hey guys, so this is probably the most important video in the whole SMS training. I cannot stress it enough. If you're going to be sending a large amount of SMS text to the platform, please, please, please take this recommendations and follow the formatting. At the end of the day, uh, you choose what you send, you decide how you want to do it. But the higher your deliverability is, the more effective how you're going to save money. You're going to have higher returns. You're going to have more leads come into your system. The lower your deliverability is, the more problems you're going to have, the more error rates you're going to run into, the more chances of your account getting shut down increase. So we've sent millions and millions and millions of texts to this program, and we've learned how to do it correctly. And the correct way is to follow this formatting and these guidelines. Um, to be successful. People have really made millions following these formats. I've pulled in live examples so you can see exactly how people are doing it. But I want to jump right in. So this video is going to be about formatting. The next one's going to be about strategies. So please watch both. Watch them at the same time. It'll really help you build out your initial campaigns correctly and effectively. So, cool things on formatting. Stop on response. Make sure that's turned on. This way you're just not multiple texting people you're already in conversations with. People say stop and you don't have stop on response turned on, you continue to message them. That's when you'll really start running into a lot of issues. Um, don't blast the same list frequently. Use your best judgment on this. Usually I recommend 10 days or so in between consecutive cold blast, but use your own judgment on this. Obviously, just don't send 10,000 people 5 messages within an hour. A lot of them aren't going to go through. A lot of your numbers likely to get flagged. You're going to run into problems. Highly, highly recommend sending in drip mode. This is just will lower your queue rate, will help out get a lot more messages out there effectively. I'll dive more into that in the Twilio deep dive. But drip mode, across the board, people see a lot more success. And don't think this means you have to wait and sit slow. Literally, you can put 100 to send out every 2 minutes for all day long, and you'll still send out a ton of messages. But just slowing it down a little bit instead of sending them all at once really, really does improve your deliverability rate. You must have an opt-out. You must have an opt-out in your messaging. If you do not, this will be a huge reason a lot of your messages get flagged. You must have a sender identification or signature. So this pretty much means you have to describe who is sending the message and where from. So a name and a company identifier. I'll break down that a little bit more in detail and what that actually means, what that's to look like. Um, Another thing that really helps a lot is inputting a custom field. So it pretty much makes it where not every message is exactly the same. So you'll put hi, first name, John, Joe, Mary, Sally, whoever. Um, you do that automatically. It's a super easy process to do within the campaign builder. But when you do that, it makes it where every message is at least a little bit different. So that increases your deliverability. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to dive into a couple different examples, run through those, kind of show you why they're good or bad. Um, Please watch these in details. If you do have specific questions about, hey, is the text formatted correctly? Is it not? Please send that over to us, and we're glad to help out and kind of help work through this process. Once you get up and rolling, people get really good at this, and they don't really have any issues. I mean, there's people who've been on this program for 2 years. They've never had their account flagged, and they send out 20,000 messages a week. So know it's possible. Just follow these guidelines and it'll help a lot. So I wanted to include this. This is actually from Darren, my Twilio representative. This is what he said as far as how to format a message correctly. This is kind of what I would say. This is as by the book as you can be. So you see, hi, Sally. So this is going to be their custom field. It's John Doe with ABC Finance. If y'all are requesting more info, they have their opt they have a opt out with help and stop, same kind of thing. Hello, custom field, what company it's coming from, see more information about said product, um, the standard message rate apply, language that helps some. I don't think it's a necessary thing, but it does help. To extent they have the opt in, so the opt in reply yes or the opt out in bold. So this is what Twilio says by the book to do. So follow this. This is kind of fundamentally how you should operate. But jumping into this is a live example of someone that's sending 10 to 15,000 a week usually. And I want to kind of show you them to break down, uh, it's definitely not perfect. There's some stuff I would immediately change about this, but it is working very well for him, and he's so we really look for under 20% error rate. If we're under that 20% error rate, usually can operate business very smoothly without any problems. Not a ton of numbers getting flagged, like the account's not getting suspended, stuff like that. So this is in the past 7 days as well. So you can kind of see, I mean, he's moving a good amount of volume out of this account. Um, he's a ERC agency, so he's sending out text for that. So he has his opt-in, reply yes, or otherwise please respond no. That's his opt-out. Has some COVID's a little bit of a keyword to avoid. Having money in there is something to avoid. He has his signature, so who it's coming from, Brennan at Kairos Group. So that's good. It's a pretty short message overall. It's working pretty well. So there's not a ton of issues with this, but it could be a little bit better. But you see, he's 16%, so he's good to go. Another example, this guy's at 20%, still in the green, still good to go. He has his custom field, so that's one thing Brennan doesn't have. He doesn't have the custom field here. I'd say to include that. He has a custom field. He has his signature. This is Max from TTL. He's a direct lender, so he's selling same-day approvals for unsecured equipment financing, operating capital, yada, yada, yada. It's like selling a little bit of everything. If interested, apply yes. So yes is opt-in, probably no, opt-out. So he did a little something different. He didn't put his sender identification at the bottom. He kind of worked into his message. I thought that was pretty creative. But yeah, he has everything. Message is a little long. He's using some language as far as SBA, tax credit, some stuff like that. That's probably causing his error rate to go up a little bit, but he's still under that 20%. He's still sending a good amount of volume and not really running into a ton of issues. So here's another, solid example. It's not perfect. It's not perfectly by the book, but it's working well. He's not running into issues. So here are some bad examples. I want to run you through the kind of do's and don'ts. So hello, no custom field. It's been a while, yada, yada, yada. Has large amounts of financial terms in here. I'd like something you're interested in. No signature, no opt-out, no opt-in. He's really missing all the key components to a successful campaign. And you can see he's at 52% error rate. So he is wasting a ton of leads, really low deliverability, not a ton of success coming from this. This guy's actually had his account suspended multiple times. We've had to go through and work with him to get it back reopened, and he still sends messages like this. So it's getting a lot harder to keep doing that with him and keep reopening his account. So very much don't do this. Have your opt-in, have your opt-out, have your sender identification, and you won't run into issues. But this is definitely a bad example. You can see it here, and it's definitely costing him money as well. So here's another bad example. This is John Doe, certified SBA, 50 million. That's a pretty crazy thing to put in there. So he's selling the RC as well. You can read through this message. Just give me a call. So he's trying to get them to call back. He talks about credit. That's not good. A check in the mail you don't pay back. I mean, that sounds very scammy. He does have his signature. That's good. But he doesn't have a company name. He doesn't have a custom field, and he doesn't have his opt-out. That opt-out's a really, really big thing. He's at 44%. His account is probably about to be shut down. If I had to guess, I'll probably hear from him the next day or so. Those messages aren't going out successfully. So here too, and this message is really long too. I would say it really needs to be like that long. It's probably twice as long as it should be. So here's another one that's problematic. So I hope these kind of give you an idea of what to look for as far as good and bad examples. Like I said, if you have questions, just email us over and we're happy to kind of help consult on that. But really, if you have these main components, this opt out, I'll put in and opt in. You have a sender identification, you have a custom field in there, you're going to see a lot higher success rates. So how to actually format those, here's some quick examples. You can work this into your copy however you see fit, but here's some quick examples. Reply stop to unsubscribe, reply stop to opt out, reply stop. All those will work. Here's a list. So you saw me mention kind of like using certain keywords will be problematic if you're using a lot of stuff around finance language, loans, mortgage, debt. Um, this is kind of just a list of keywords we've seen that cause more problems. I know COVID is one that probably needs to be on there as well. So if you can, I'm not going to read through all these, but essentially limit financial language. I'll go over more of that in the strategy section, um, but you'll see a lot higher success if you limit some of these words. Links are very funny. A lot of times people want to put links in there to, click to sign up, book an appointment or whatever. Just make sure they're as clean as possible. Using, URL changers or stuff like that can cause filters to grab and block the message. So just make it a clean link and you won't have problems. So this is one thing to pay attention to is as far as the proper signature, the proper sender identification. I tell people putting your full name and your full company name, stuff like that, is what you're supposed to do, and it's highly recommended. But if you're sending large amounts of messages and you've not scrubbed for litigators, you are putting a little bit of a target on your back. Again, this is all up to you. Whatever you send is your responsibility and consequences. But one way we see people to kind of limit their exposure is essentially we'll just use their first name or first name with last initial, and they will abbreviate their company name. So they might be, um, Be Right Back Finance or whatever. So they'll just do BRB Finance. So they'll be, Optimize Capital Solutions. So they'll put Team Optimize. They'll just make an abbreviation, or they'll put the first name of their company, stuff like that, to where they fulfill the signature section, but they're not fully outlining everything. So, because it's not like somebody's manually reviewing every one of these messages. Essentially, all they're doing it's bots that the carriers have in place that filter out messages, and if they see, it has the, 1, 2, 3 components, it lets it through. If it see it's missing them, it blocks it. So, this usually works pretty well. But again, let me know if you have any questions. Put the opt out, put the identification, have some custom field. You'll be a lot more successful. The next video, I'm going to go into some more of the strategies of, what actually makes a good campaign versus a not so good. Some more of the risk factors and more stuff to avoid or look out for. But hope this helps. Again, if you have questions, let us know. This is definitely super important if you're going to be sending a lot of messages to follow these guidelines.